Hello class, good day. I am Lonan Crispin, your student instructor for today's video. So today we are now in the segment of proof of cash, and as instructed to us, we will perform the computation of proof of cash using the help of Microsoft Excel. But before that, we will review first the items, the concepts and nature of proof of cash for us to know how to input the following items in the tab cell of Microsoft Excel. So if you're ready, let's start. Proof of cash. When we say proof of cash, it is actually like a bank reconciliation. So I suggest na before you proceed with the proof of cash, you need to understand first the concepts and nature of bank reconciliation for you to understand the concept and nature of proof of cash. So when we say proof of cash, as what I've said, it is like a bank reconciliation. But this time, it is actually a 2-month bank reconciliation. So, ibig sabihin, dalawang buwan na nating nare-reconcile ito. Right? It is also called a two date because it's literally involves 2 dates. So, a proof of cash is also known as four-column bank reconciliation. So, because we are not just trying to reconcile the beginning and the ending cash balance, right? But actually, we are also trying to reconcile the receipts and the disbursement. So, there are four things na kailangan nating i-reconcile. And ito ay ang mga the beginning balance, the receipts, the disbursements, and lastly will be our ending balance of cash. So natawag siyang four-column bank reconciliation, guys. It is because apat na bagay ang ating tinatry na i-reconcile dito. So here are some items that are silent or should I say omitted in the problem. So, minsan, nawawala tong mga to. So, therefore, kailangan nating makuha. So, ano yung mga nawawala? Possible na nawawala ay yung beginning balance. Next is the receipts. Next to the receipts is the disbursements. And then, the ending balance. So, meaning, huwag kang umasa na ibibigay yung apat na yan sa problem. But rather, always may nawawala na isa sa mga yan. So, paano mo ngayon mako-compute kapag nawala yung isa? So, see to it, okay, see to it that the ending balance is computed by just adding from the beginning balance the receipts and apparently deducting the disbursements. So, kapag nawawala yung isa, as long as given yung tatlo, kayang-kaya nating makompute yung isang nawawala. So, 3 versus 1. Are we still good in that? I hope so. So, next is, ano pa yung possible na nawawala? There is also na this deposit in transits. So we have to know how to compute the deposits in transits at the end of the year. So our computation will start at here sa deposit in transit at the beginning. So from the deposit in transit at the beginning, ang gagawin mo dyan is i-add mo lang lahat ng deposits made by the depositor and then deduct natin dyan lahat ng deposits na na-acknowledge by the bank. Then mako-compute na natin si deposit in transit. So, at the end of the year. So, we have here the sample problem that we inputted in our Microsoft Excel. So, we are asked here to prepare a proof of cash under the adjusted balance method. So, to start with, let us have first our column preparation of our proof of cash column, and let us have the items that we're going to plot the beginning balances which are given in the first scenario. So let's start with the balance per book on October 31. So we have here the 600,000. Then for the receipts per book for November, we have here 2,200,000. And then we can see here that there is an additional information that follows into the statement. So later we will analyze the effect of those items mentioned here. So like for example, this one, there is an additional information in a collection from a customer amounting to 100,000 that has been recorded as 10,000 pesos only. So most probably we have a error here. So let's try to address that later after we have done plotting all the beginning balances. Let's so next to the receipts is the disbursement. So we have a total of 1,800,000. And again, as we have noticed, we have here an additional information pertaining to a check which was recorded at 30,000 instead of 300,000. So we have to address that also later. So our November 30 balance per book is not given in this problem, but you can always compute that balance since we know the formula. So the formula here is the beginning cash balance plus your receipts minus your disbursements, and we can have our ending balance per book as of November 30, which is 1 million. So before we account or analyze the book reconciling items, let us plot first the balance per bank. So our balance per bank, we have here given the balance per bank statement on November 30. So then it was given at the amount of 930,000, and we are also given the bank receipts. To bank receipts natin for November is 2,500,000. And then later we will analyze the bank error since it was indicated here as there was an erroneous credit amounting to 200,000 pesos. So dapat sana kay B-line yan na credit sa account ni Beehive. So there is an overstatement of our bank receipts. So next would be for our bank disbursement is the amount of 1,970,000. So take note, there is an additional information that this 1,970,000, this indicates a check to Beeline Company. Okay, so another bank error in the amount of 200,000, which will be reviewed later. So now looking at the figures, we can see that there is the beginning balance, which is the October 31. Is not given, but we can compute for this one since we have here the receipts, the disbursements, and the ending balance. So what we can do here is we simply add the disbursements to the ending cash balance per bank, which is of course the November 30 balance. Then let us deduct the receipts of 2,500,000. So you will get the 400,000. You can always check if this is correct or not by, of course, performing the usual computation, which is your October 31 balance plus your receipts minus your disbursements, and it should be 930,000. So, sakto lang siya. So after this, let us try to analyze now the reconciling items pertaining to our balance per book. So let's have the book reconciling items. Which of these are the book reconciling items? Is there are a credit memo? So kikita natin, wala. Is there any debit memo? Wala rin. So what we have here is actually a book error. So this book error happened in November, and then there is an understatement of collection. So instead of 100,000, yung kanyang na-record lang ay 10,000 pesos. So there is an understatement of 90,000. So kulang yung ating November 30 na balance amounting to 90,000. So since kulang yung November 30 natin na balance, of course, kulang din yung na-recognize natin na receipts for the month. To do that, i-add lang din natin siya sa receipts as 90,000. So that's how you analyze it and how you apply it in a proof of cash. So another here is a book error. Now there is another book error, and this time what happened here is that there is an understatement of disbursement. So kanina may error yung ating collection, which is na record na is only 30,000. So understated yung disbursement. Then amounting to 270. How do we get the 270? So that is 300,000 minus the 30,000 and it is equals to 270,000. So since kulang yung ating disbursement, so what we have to do this is we will deduct here in our ending balance, which is November 30. So again, you have that 300,000 minus and your record 30,000 and then you have 270,000. Now, what is the effect of this 270,000? So take note that our disbursement, which is 1,800,000, and with this book error, is kulang ng 270,000. So we had to add back that 270,000 from your disbursement. Okay? So I guess there's no other reconciling items from our book. So kunin na lang natin yung ating adjusted balance book balance. So you have here yung ating October 31 na balance. Since wala tayong reconciling items, then total adjusted book balance is 600,000. And your receipts naman, you simply add the 2,200,000 and then plus natin yung si 90,000 in a total amount of 2,290,000. So your disbursement, we have here the 1,800,000 plus the 270,000. So you will have the adjusted book balance of 2,070,000. And then lastly, for our November 30 balances, so we simply add them. So you will have the 880,000, 20,000. Now, if you're going to check this, then you can do that for you to know whether this is correct or not. So, dapat yung ending balance mo on your November 30, if you're going to compute for the uh, I mean, whether this is correct or not, okay? So, dapat yung ending balance mo on your November 30, if you are going to compute the horizontal manner, say this 600,000 plus 209 to 2,290,000 and then minus the 2,070,000, so dapat the same lang din siya. So vertically, horizontally, dapat you'll come up with the same amount. So you have 800,000, 820,000. Okay, so proceed tayo dito sa bank for the balance per bank. We need to check and identify first the reconciling items. So, ano ba yung mga bank reconciling items? So, we have here already the reconciling items. Let's have to analyze first these deposits in transit. So, our deposit in transit is given here in October 31. So, let's try to analyze its effect. So, kung October 31 yan, in deposit in transit, so of course, we are going to add it to our balance per bank. Okay? So, you have 300,000. And what is the effect of the deposit in transit as the receipts on November 30? So, take note class, the deposit in transit of October 31, most probably makikredit yan sa bangko sa month of November na. So, ibig sabihin yung 2,500,000 na yan, that includes in a deposit in transit last month. So the question now is it right ba that we include the amount of 2,500,000 in our cash receipts for the bank's point of view? Of course, the answer is no. So why not? Because it is not the cash receipts of the bank in this current month. So it is the cash receipts on the last month of the previous month, but still the bank recorded it as reflected it as their part of the receipts during the month of November. So now what you're going to do now is just you simply deduct the amount of 300,000 from your cash receipts para ma-eliminate nga this 300,000 in our cash receipts. Okay? So, kasi gusto natin na ang cash receipts na mare-reflect dito ay yun lang, cash receipts for the month of November. So, dapat tanggalin natin yung the month of October. Okay? So, the next thing to do, of course, sana we can compute for the amount of our deposit in transit sa November 30 kasi hindi siya given. So, kung hindi siya given, we can always compute that for that amount. So, what is the formula now in the computing the ending balance, which is the November 30 or ending balance in a deposit in transit? So, to illustrate, let us try to compute first the deposit and transit at the end of November. So that's November 30. So let us try to compute for the deposit in transit in November 30 since it is not given. So how do we compute for the deposit in transit at the end of the month? In this case, November 30, so let's start with the deposit in transit last October 30, which is 300,000. The next thing to do is to add the cash receipts deposited by the entity to the bank. So take note, we will eliminate the receipts which have not been deposited by the entity to the bank. So based on the information in the problem, our receipts per book amounts to 2,200,000. So that amount should be added to the 300,000 because we have anticipated that this amount is the amount deposited by the entity to the bank. However, take note, class, that there was an error made by the book. So we're in kulang siya na instead of 100,000 on the record collection from a customer, ang na-record niya lang ay 10,000. So, this 2,200,000 here, ang na-integrate lang is the 10,000. So, kulang ito ng 90,000. So, mag-anticipate tayo ng ang i-deposit talaga ng entity sa bangko would be this month in the amount of 2,200,000 plus the 90,000. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, ito yung amount na ine-expect natin na ma-acknowledge ni bank because it represents all of the cash receipts deposited by the entity to the bank for the period plus yung deposit in transit in October 31. So, i-deduct natin kung magkano lang ba yung deposits na na-acknowledge by the bank. So, let's check our bank credits. But of course, sa mga bank credits na yon, we have to eliminate the credit memo because it does not come from the entity. Okay? So, kapag yung ating bank credits, merong mga credit memo, so dapat tanggalin natin siya. We have to deduct that from the deposits which was acknowledged by the bank because what we have here is only the amount deposited by the entity and the acknowledged by the bank. So, in this case, the bank receipts, okay, amounted to 2.5 million, but take note of the 2.5 million. It includes bank error, which amounting to 100,000. So, supposedly, kay Beeline sana siya. Pero, na-credit sa account ni Beehive. So, that's the amount should be deducted. So, magkano na lang yung ating deposit na na-acknowledge by the bank? So, yan lang ay yung 2,400,000. So, yung total deposit ng entity sa bangko for this month is 2,950,000 plus of course the deposit in transit which are expected to be credited in the order to be reflected in the bank account for the following month. So, yun lang yung total deposit of for this month minus the amount acknowledged by the bank. So, you have 2,400,000. So, your deposit in transit in November 30 ay 190,000. Okay, so if you're going to plot it here, we have here the November 30, a deposit in transit, which is 190,000. So, i-add lang natin ang 190,000. Now, where is the effect of this? In the receipts pa or in the disbursement? So, probably the affected nito ay ang receipts. So, yung 2.5 na yan, hindi pa kasama dyan ang deposit and transit na 190,000. So, we have to include that in our bank receipts for us to reconcile in our records. Okay. So next thing is the reconciling item, which would be the outstanding checks. So yung given lang class is the outstanding check natin in November 30 na month. So missing si October 31 na outstanding check. So, ang present or given lang here is only November 30. So, before we analyze or compute our October 31 outstanding check, let us plot first muna our outstanding check and in our November 30. So, we know that pag mag-reconcile tayo, yung outstanding check ay dinideduct natin yan, okay? In the amount of So, ang amount dito is 400,000. So, since the outstanding check, meaning it is not yet reflected to the bank debits. So, that's why we are going to add back this 400,000 outstanding checks to November 30 in our disbursement under the bank balance. Okay, so after that, let us try to compute the outstanding checks of our October 31. So how to compute the outstanding checks of our October 31? So actually, the idea is the same lang na ito lang ang kulang yung October 31. No? So we have to work it back. Work it back lang natin and mag-umpisa tayo from the bottom up till to the top. Pero pwede din naman nating i-plot muna yung mga amount. So, kasi 'di ba this is the usual computation for our outstanding check. So, kaso nga lang ang missing is itong October 31 na outstanding check. So, what do we do here is ano ba ang gagawin? So, plot lang muna natin yung cash disbursement per book. So, take note na kapag merong mga debit memo, for example, debit memo of the previous month, tas ngayon lang na credit, I mean na debit or na record, so dapat tanggalin natin kasi hindi naman yung cheque, yung yung disbursement ngayon, pero hindi siya cheque ng disbursement issued from the company. So, yan. In a problem, yung cash disbursement natin, makikita natin sa ating disbursement per book. So, that's 1.8 million. Kaso lang, take note, meron tayong book error. So, yung ating disbursement ay kulang ng 270,000. Since supposedly, yung disbursement is 300,000. Tapos yung na-record lang is 30,000. So, dapat yung 270,000 na yon i-add dapat natin ito sa 1,700,000 para makuha natin kung magkano ang total na disbursement from the entity. So, that is total of 2,070,000. Now, i-deduct naman natin kung magkano ba yung mga cheque na na-acknowledge ni bank. So, for example, merong mga debit memo na sa current period, which is dapat tanggalin natin kasi hindi naman cheque or disbursement na galing sa entity or initiated by the entity. But rather, it was the debit memo. So, ang nag-initiate ng disbursement na yon ay ang bangko. So, hindi siya entity. So, check lang natin asan ba natin makukuha yung check statement by the bank. So, tignan lang natin yung ating mga bank debit o bank disbursement. So, in this case, 1,970,000. Take note again that there is a bank error. Okay? Kasi sumobra yung 200,000. Sobra itong 200,000. Kasi yung check ni Bilay na debit din doon sa account ni Beehive. So, let's deduct 200,000. So, ito yung ating checks na na-acknowledge by the bank. So, ito yung mga cheque na galing sa entity as check assurance. But, this is only amount acknowledged by the bank. So, this is the only amount received or dispersed by the bank. So, what do we do? Pwede natin siyang i-work back. Kung mag-work back tayo from the bottom until the top. So, what we do is, since itong total na 2,070,000 deduct siya sa checks paid by the bank. So, what we're going to do now is to add yung mga checks paid and the OC of November 30. So we have 2,170,000. Okay? So you have 2,170,000. So what we gonna do para makuha natin yung beginning balance is i-deduct lang natin yung kanina na cash disbursement galing sa entity. So with that, yung ating 2,170,000 minus the 2,070,000. So makukuha natin yung outstanding check natin na 100,000. So this is our outstanding check as of October 31. So let's try to plot it here. So this is an outstanding check. So i-deduct natin siya from October 31 balance. Now, anong effect nito? Asan siya mag-e-effect? Sa may disbursement ba o sa may receipts? So, 'di ba, ang mangyayari class itong ating outstanding check na October 31, most probably magre-reflect ito siya sa bangko. And pagkatapos next month, anticipate natin siya na kapag outstanding check siya last month, magre-reflect siya sa bangko as disbursement this month or the current month. So, meaning, by November, kasama na siya sa bank debit. So, kasama na siya sa mga disbursement. So, with that, dapat itong 1,970,000 dapat i-reduce natin siya sa 100,000. Considering that, again, this 100,000 most probably included in 1,970,000 na bank disbursement, of course, the bank debits. Okay, so another reconciling items will be related in 100,000 erroneous credit. So we have here the bank error, especially an erroneous credit. So nangyari yan noong November. So since erroneous credit man, yan, so ibig sabihin, overstated yung ating bank balance. So to correct that, we will just have to deduct the 100,000, okay? So now, asan siya nag-effect? May effect ba siya sa receipts or sa disbursement? So, nung credit nung banko yung 100,000, of course, affected yung kanyang bank credits. Affected ang kanyang bank receipts. So, what happened to your bank receipts? Actually, it is overstated. Kasi dapat, wala naman talaga yung credit na yon, pero na-reflect siya doon sa bank. So, sobra itong 2.5 million. So, sobra ito ng 100,000 kasi hindi naman siya kay Beehive yung 100,000 kundi kay Beeline. So let's deduct the 100,000 erroneous credit. The another bank error naman natin that we have here is an erroneous check disbursement. Okay, so this is an erroneous check disbursement reflected in the bank debits. So dapat sana itong check disbursement na to ay kay Beeline. Pero na-debit siya sa account ni Beehive. So kung check disbursement yan, dinebit niya, ibig sabihin understated naman this time ang ating bank balance. So what we have to do here, we need to add back. So asan siya mag-a-affect? Is it affecting your receipts or your disbursement? Okay, so tama, it is affecting your disbursement. So itong 1,970,000 na to, this is include already to 200,000. Pero of course, hindi naman talaga yung disbursement ni Beehive kay Beeline nga yan. So what you're going to do is to deduct the 200,000. Okay? So since that is your adjusted bank balance, which of course happened to the equal of the adjusted book balance, no? So for the cash received, we have also the 2,290,000, which reconcile with our cash receipts per book. And our disbursement na 2,070,000, and that is also equal to our adjusted book balance. And lastly, of course, our November 30 balance, which is 820,000. So this is our adjusted bank balance. So that is how we are going to perform this proof of cash under the adjusted balance method in using our Microsoft Excel. So I hope this discussion has enlightened you, and thank you for watching.